Good morning. Good morning, fellow humans. And that could be spelled Huemonds, as in colorful nuts. Okay, welcome, fellow humans. This is Department of Career Services. My name is Edward Bevilacqua. Today is November 1st. Boom. First day of November 2023. We're here in wonderful Pahrump-Tucky, southwestern Nevada, not far from the California border. Our purpose is to help you get from where you are, get from where you are to someplace better. From your point A to point B, Successlandia. No, not from Successlandia, from Someday Isle to Successlandia. We do it through this podcast, but it's not really through the podcast, it's through the stuff down below. That's where the meat is, that's where all of the stuff is, and I can promise you, as Steve Jobs would say, I can promise you that if you spend an hour a day on the stuff down below, your journey will proceed. A lot of pinging in the background. What's going on? Oh, well. There's things we can control and things we can't control. Okay, so as to the stuff down below, please share, subscribe, click on the bell, thumbs up. You know the thing. Just please do that. Help. Two things that are important. One, come back every day. Two, write the stuff down in your book. Come back every day because you just never know. Maybe tomorrow will be the day that you get value out of this. But the thing that'll happen is if you make it part of your routine, it will become part of your habit. Habit is unconscious behavior. Once it becomes part of your unconscious behavior, progress will be made. Good things will be happening. Okay, let's get started on our 5-part podcast. Part 1, prepare. Part 2, attitude of gratitude. 3, review the yesterday. 4, plan for today. 5, project and then go do it. So, breathing exercise. Let's see, we saved. I'll have to remember to create a link to it. But yesterday we watched a 14-minute thing on Huberman talking about this breathing, how important it is to do this technique. And if you're depressed and you want to feel better, increase your heart rate. If you're depressed because you have anxiety, decrease your breath rate. This simple breathing exercise done one of two ways can either give you more energy or reduce anxiety. Both techniques involve a double inhale technique. If when you inhale, you're going to increase your heart rate. When you exhale, you're going to decrease your heart rate. If you have a long, slow exhale, your heart rate will drop. Do it a couple times, maybe 3, but you can do it throughout the day. He says it is the simple, easiest, best way to get quick, boom, immediate response. All right, so here's how it works. Double inhale. Okay, so in his explanation, he says if you can have that exhale go 40 to 60 seconds, that would be really great. The longer the exhale, the better. We don't have time for that because we're already 4 minutes in. And good morning, Watabevi, etc., etc. Okay, part 1 down, prepare. Part 2, attitude of gratitude. Very, very important to start your day thinking of the positive, be accentuating the positive. Don't be negative tracking. Don't be thinking about the negative stuff. So accentuate the positive. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we write down in our books I'm so happy and grateful now that. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And I would put the punctuation on now. I'm so happy and grateful now that, boom, now that blank. Turn it into a question so our brain has something to focus on. Then turn your attention inward and close your eyes, turn your attention inward, focus on what am I so happy and grateful for right now. And I can promise you, promise number 2, I can promise you on the flip side, I can promise you, rock and roll quotes, I can promise you that you will see things pop up that you're happy and grateful for. Bring those into your heart. 1, 2, 3, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. That if you do that, you'll feel better. Wow, who knew? Breathing exercise. I feel better, more energy. Number 2, attitude of gratitude. I feel better. Now I just need to whistle that song. Always look on the bright side of your life, or watch the video, which is in a link to that in the thing down below. All righty then. Step 3, review the day. Review yesterday. Ask yourself 4 questions. 1, how did I feel about yesterday? 2, where did I exceed expectations? 3, where did I fall short of the mark? 4, what did I learn, or what can I learn from yesterday? Do number 2 and number 3 after the podcast is over, because time is racing. We're going to skip ahead to step number 5, which is project the day. So after the podcast, last thing to do for about a minute, close your eyes, focus, see the day unroll before you, making way, making allowances for the fact that making way for the fact that what? The unintended is going to occur. You need to be prepared for unintended events. Got to be flexible. Okay. Step 4, planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Work your plan your work, and work your plan. No plan survives contact with the enemy, and the enemy is usually us. Okay, good. So, highlights for today, November 1st. Advice from an 80-year-old. Where is it? Have a firm handshake. Simple, practical stuff to help you in your day. Have a firm handshake. Cool. Okay, say 3 simple things. Where's my coffee? No, wrong. That's not one of the 3 things, but it's a true statement. Say something great is going to happen to me today. Something great is going to happen to me today. And shake your head this way, because it doesn't work. Let me see myself on video. Does this work? Something great is going to happen to me today. Something great is going to happen to me today. How about this? Something great is going to happen to me today. Boom. Yes. Done. All righty. Next. Always look on the bright side of your life. Always look on the bright side of your life. Okay, that's easy to do. Seek discomfort. Cool. All right, the theme for today, what people may have been waiting for, perhaps not, doesn't matter. Beware the status quo. The status quo is that which is all around us. It's what David Foster Wallace might talk about. It's the default mode. It is the water that's around us, like the fish swimming. And the older fish says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" What the hell is water? Okay, it's the status quo. We're swimming in the status quo. Beware of it. Seth Godin talks about 2 ways. Seth Godin talks about 2 ways to defend the status quo. 1, deny the problem, minimize it, make up data, distract from the conversation. make people feel like hypocrites, and emphasize the convenient and persistent elements of what is in place. Okay, there's the status quo. So you can deny there's a problem. 2, acknowledge the problem, but point out that it's now far too late to do anything about it. Seth continues. Neither is true, helpful or generous. Both happen all the time. Call it out when you see it. Okay, so our purpose, our approach to the world, our raison d'etre, is that it? Our reason for existing is to change the status quo where it needs to be changed. How do we know where the status quo needs to be changed? Well, we look around to say, are things getting better? If they're not getting better, the status quo needs to change. Our focus currently is on things like homelessness, crime, drug abuse, recidivism, education, employment. Are things getting better? No, they're not getting better. So all of the so-called experts, all of the people embedded in solving the problem, it needs to be changed. Now, I could have talked about what they would do in a oppressive regime for people who were defending a broken system, like take them out back, line them up, etc. Because they won't change. They don't see the problem, they deny the problem, they minimize the problem, they make up data. It's not that bad, it's not our fault. We're making progress. Yeah, you're making progress, but the problem is growing at a faster rate. So you're not getting anywhere. Yeah, well, we arrested 5 more people than last year. We arrested 5 less people than last year. So crime is going down. Fewer arrests doesn't mean crime is going down. It just means fewer arrests. So they make up data. They distract from the conversation. What about what's happening in Israel? They make people feel like hypocrites. What are you doing about it? And they emphasize the convenient and persistent elements of what is in place. I'm just doing my job, man. I'm not paid to solve the problem. I'm paid to push these keys on my keyboard. Okay, or they acknowledge the problem but point out it's too late. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough people. The people we're trying to help don't care. Neither are true, helpful, or generous. Okay, we are committed whenever possible to changing the status quo. Those people who join us need to understand that people who are beholden upon the status quo, beholden to the status quo, they don't want to change. When it comes down to it, they're going to fight to keep it the way it is. It's part of the battle. Fight the good fight. Fight the good fight. Or just go along with the status quo. But on your deathbed, you will be haunted with regret. I think that was one of the things from an 80-year-old is live your life so that you don't have regret. I wish I would have done this. I wish I had taken a stand but for my non-participation, it could have been different. All righty then. So had good meetings yesterday with the state of Nevada. Boom. Good meetings. Good help. Good meetings with the pastor's executive board about moving forward. Learned a lot at Cotton Softens Cotton. And it's like we're going to write about this. Beware, look for this. We're going to be writing about this, that you can enter Christianity through 2 doors, the Old Testament or the New Testament. And depending upon which door you enter, you're not going to come out the same place. If you can choose to enter the Old Testament through the Old Testament, which will lead you back into the New Testament, but not through the front door, through the side door. where everything you see in the Old Testament will be through the lens. Everything you see in the New Testament will be through the lens of the Old Testament. Many people who grew up Christian, this is how it started. They entered through the Old Testament, came into the New Testament, seeing the New Testament as a fulfillment of the Old Testament. Okay, don't want to go into too much detail. Or you can enter in through the New Testament, but when you walk in the lobby of the New Testament, there's two new doors: red letter and the letters of Paul, etc., the epistles and the letters, or everything else. Or I guess a third little door over here on the side called Revelation. You can enter through that. Very few people do. And that will take you some very strange places if you enter through that door. Again, you can come in the front door of the Old Testament, come in a side door of the New Testament into a different lobby, maybe in the back, who knows. And in there you can see the three doors. And probably if you enter through the Old Testament, go to Revelation, and that will take you to the red letter and to the epistles. You'll get a different flavor, a different view. You will be permanently, because that's how you entered the matrix. That's how you entered the thing. But the point is that we'll write about is whichever door you enter through will forever shape your view of it. And I think everybody could agree, if you enter, depending upon which door you enter through, you're not going to have the same view. Not going to have the same view. You're not going to come to the same conclusion. And that's a problem. That's actually a problem, because it should be that all paths lead to the same place, but they don't. They do not. If you enter through the Old Testament door, your New Testament is filtered by the Old Testament. Whereas if you start with the New Testament, the Old Testament is kind of like, well, that's kind of interesting, but it's not really relevant. And my hunch would be, if you entered through the Revelation door, your view, your life view, your let's just leave it, your life view would be very, very different than the other way. So that's kind of interesting. It's kind of dangerous. Maybe danger isn't the right word, but it shows a flaw, a Clarke's fourth law problem, a Occam's razor problem, and a categorical imperative problem. Those three problems pop up, and those are big problems. Anyway, let us continue forward. We're at 17 minutes and 43 seconds. Last bit of practical advice. If you want to get from point A to point B, seek discomfort. Life is suffering. Work to reduce it. That is what all of the major religions say. In the world, life is suffering. One of the Four Noble Truths. I think it's the first noble truth. And the whole symbol of Christianity is a guy nailed to a cross, the most painful form of torture. Well, it's not the most painful form of torture, but up to that time it was the most painful, but now they can do things that make that look like nothing. Anyway, so with that, we're going to say hasta la vista, baby. I'll be back.